All right, so now I want to define something called a secant line. The secant line has nothing to do with y equals secant x, the trig function. Absolutely nothing to do with that. It is a line between 2 points on a function. So if I'm looking at y equal x squared, if this was the point x equal 1, and I'm looking here at the point x equal 4, and I'm labeled the points. So the point P is when x is equal to 1. And the point Q is when x is equal to 4. So there's P and there's Q. Okay, so the secant line is the line between those 2 points. So there it is. So this is the secant line. And since it's a line, I can find out what the slope of that line is. So how do we find the slope of a line? That's the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So that's what I did first. I took this x value and I used the function. I found the y value. Then I took this x value and I used the function and I got the y value. So between these 2 points, I could find the slope. So 16 minus 1 over 4 minus 1. So the slope of that black secant line is 5. Okay, so let's deal with e to the negative x. So e to the negative x, you know, looks like this. So when x is 0, I'm using this point here, right? This is x is 0. X is 0 corresponds to that point there. And then x is 2 would correspond to that point there. So the black secant line would be the line between these 2 points. Oops, sorry, I should have used a different color. So here's the blue function. There's the black secant line. Okay, so find the slope of the secant line. So we're going to be dealing a lot with slopes. So slope is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So let's go find the points. We don't need to label them as p and q, but I know I've got the x value of 0 and I've got the x value of 2. So if I use the x value of 0 into this function, e to the 0 I know is 1. If I use the x value of 2 into this function, I get e to the negative 2. All right, so the change in the y values would be e to the negative 2 minus 1. Change in the x values would be 2 minus 0. So e to the negative 2 is 1 over e squared minus 1 over a 2. So 1 over e squared, it's like about 1/9, right, minus 1. So this will give me a negative number. I'm okay with you leaving it like this, just making sure you see this is a negative slope, right? You read a graph like you read a word, so I see that this secant line has a negative slope.